There's so much conflicting diet advice out there that it's simply head spinning. But one area that we should all spend a little bit more on is our gut, as leaky gut impacts nearly 1 in 2 Americans and contributes to everything from dandruff and eczema to brain fog and depression. Our guest today is a registered nutritionist, healing one leaky gut at a time with her nutritional protocols, cleanses, and fasts. This is the story of healing your gut with Dina Celina Danielsen. Dina, so nice to have you on.
So nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
We've been following each other for a little while on Instagram, and I've seen what you're putting out there, which I'm a fan of, but some of it may be even seen as controversial, dare I may say, because something like juice fast today, where you have so many different diet fads and everything, gets a little bit demonized. But I know you are a massive advocate of it. So you can tell us why you feel juice fasts are such an integral part of health.
Well, I think everyone who says they don't agree with the juice fast has either not tried it or maybe done it wrong. Because I haven't had a single person who's gone through my program who hasn't had a good experience with it. And yes, there is a lot of negative talk about juice fasting, and I understand why. It's not well researched. It's claimed to be a quick fat loss diet. And yeah, it's not great information about it, to be fair. But I got into juice fasting simply because I was working with a woman in the UK who was an advocate of juice fasting. So I learned a lot of her tips and tricks and the protocols that she uses through her. And I could see with her clients on her retreats, what a massive impact it had on people's health. And I will start doing it myself. The first time I did it, horrible experience, just went straight into it. And it was not fun at all. But after researching and reading and trying out new ways of doing it, having a pre-fast, how you actually do the juice fast and how you end the fast and how you kind of break the fast. There's so many important things that you need to consider. And I've had incredible results with clients, whereas some has come off medication, some have healed, Crohn's disease, etc. So I think juice fasting is very, very beneficial for a lot of people. It's not for everyone, but I have seen great results with clients.
Is there a way you could determine between one client and another, or even give a little bit of advice to anyone trying to jump in on a juice fast, who should and who should not do one?
Yeah, if you're suffering from really bad health, that's probably not a good idea to jump into a juice fast. You kind of want to have some kind of baseline, as in that you don't want to be very poor health, really. If you have maybe niggles here and there, maybe you have some digestion issues, or you don't feel as well as you should, those people, it would be great to do a juice fast. For people with IBS, obviously this is a broad area. Some it will work well with, some it won't work as well with. So it's kind of seeking information, ask a practitioner about this that understands it, and be what, I'll do a juice fast with you, or you should not do one. As I have clients where I'm I don't think juice fast would be a good option for you right now, but maybe further down the line.
Yeah, it's got to be incredibly personalized. And we've seen that a lot at the clinic when dealing with, like you said, very chronic patients. Sometimes you have to tell them to avoid certain things, like even grapefruit juice, because a lot of the times that may stimulate some of the detox organs that we're already stimulating, and it goes too far. And so then you have a what they call a Herx reaction, in a sense, not really, but a detox reaction, which isn't fun. It isn't pleasant. That's where you get things like eczema, rashes, headache, and everything else. But to step away from the juice fasting and just talk about intermittent fasting now, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting and women in general? Because women, of course, whose hormones fluctuate. Does that impact? How do you feel about intermittent fasting with women?
I think it depends on the women or the woman. So if a woman is, under a lot of stress, emotional, physical, chemical stress, intermittent fasting might not be a good option, because literally fasting is put on your body under a lot of stress. So I could alternatively, I think intermittent fasting is a really good thing for both males and females, but as I said, it's depending on the individual. So if I had a woman that, had a lot of stress, maybe instead, because what most people do with intermittent fasting is that they kind of skip breakfast or eat food later in the day, and then, but maybe swap that window and have breakfast in the morning when they wake up to kind of stabilize hormones, and stop eating early in the day. So doing it that way instead, I think would be a much better option to do.
Yeah, it's funny. So many of my friends that are intermittent fasting are just skipping breakfast because they're too stressed and on the run, right? They just have a cup of coffee. They tell me they're intermittent fasting. Then I see what they're doing. They're loading big lunches and really big dinners at 9 p.m., right? And then they fast till about 12 or so. So it's almost that 16-8 break, but it's still incredibly unhealthy in a sense.
Yeah.
Meaning there's still lots of stress. The things they're eating within their time frame usually isn't the best. And it's a lot, and it's late in the day where it taxes you and actually disrupts sleep. So it goes against what you should be thinking about when intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people eat too close to bedtime. There's nothing wrong with that, but as you said, it will disrupt deep sleep. So that's not good either, because turn sleep is when we rejuvenate and all that. So yeah, maybe swap in that window, eat your breakfast within an hour when you wake up, and stop. Maybe have your dinner at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. even, and have that space in the evening instead. But then again, for some people, that's difficult as well, because that's when a lot of people like to eat.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of people usually that work that 9 to 5 and are stressed during that day, then leave with that stress and only calm down, and then have that hunger pang later in the day and satisfy it with usually something very heavy at night. And that again goes straight into the night. How do you combat that? Because that's always, I think, one of the biggest struggles, is understanding that you're working with a client that's probably in a stressful environment, is working either 9 to 5 or even longer hours sometimes, because we all sort of, hustle these days and run the rat race of life. How do you get people to abide by but they also have to live their lives within those constraints of stressful jobs, long hours, everything else?
Well, first of all, I try to figure out what is making them want to eat late. Is it emotional factor? Is it comfort? Is it they're hungry? If they're hungry, maybe we changed their meals a little bit, the dinner or the lunch, so it's more satisfying. If it's an emotional thing, we have to work around what is causing this emotional eating, because I would say a lot of times it is down to emotion, or that you're bored. You maybe just lie on the sofa watching TV and you like to snack, and that's a comfort thing. Maybe try to implement some new hobbies, and etc. It's kind of like working with the client to figure out what is causing them to wanting to eat late at night or having the snacking issue.
Yeah, so much of it really comes down to routine, emotions, those sort of pieces that you go into almost autopilot and don't even realize you're doing these things later on. And that's just part of your routine. So you say, let's keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I won't do my client any favor and be like, no, stop snacking. You're not allowed to snack. I have to figure out why they're doing that and help them kind of change the habit or create a new habit instead.
And when you work with clients and you're trying to change those habits, how do you changing their strict ways of eating poorly into something better? And what does that look like? So you have snacks that are usually heavily processed carbs, grains, things like that. And you're trying to heal their gut, let's say. Are you moving them more into fibrous things, into vegetables, fruits? Are you moving them into the juices if that fits? Well, how are you getting them to switch over from crappy food, let's say?
Well, I advise against snacking, and this is because your gut has its own cleaning process that kicks in 2 to 3 hours after food. It's called the migrating motor complex. So I explain to them, if you snack in between meals, that cleanup process won't happen. And what can that result in? It will result in more gut damage. It can cause SIBO and dysbiosis. So it will actually make things worse. So I kind of explain that to them. So if they have an understanding of what's going on, how your body functions, they'll be like, oh, okay, right, maybe I shouldn't snack then. But maybe they come to me, well, Dina, I'm really hungry 2 hours after my breakfast or my lunch. I'll be like, right, we have to change your breakfast to lunch. Then we have to add more foods that's keeping you fuller for longer. So it's working around that as well.
Yeah, it's really important that you get the right foods at the right time. Are you an advocate of what I've heard other people like Dr. James Di Nicolantonio and others about protein in the morning, trying to get more protein in the morning, or is that something you don't abide by?
No, I think a high protein breakfast is the way to go. Like you can process carbohydrates better in the morning as well. So I'm not against that, but I think having a high protein, some good fats is important in the morning. But some people will work better with a bit higher carbohydrates in the morning as well. But definitely high protein is what I want to recommend.
Let's talk about gluten, because that seems to be all the rage, gluten-free, everything else. I believe you have a bit of a different view on gluten, or maybe wheat. Can you kind of share what are your thoughts on this very demonized type of ingredient that's been with us forever?
Well, I think most people have some sort of gut permeability or leaky gut. Gluten will be a problem for everyone who has that, and so everyone has some degree of it. Even us that's really healthy and nutritionists or health coaches, we will have some degree of it as well. So I'm not opposed to it if you don't have any digestion issues. A little bit is fine. I think it also comes down to you have to enjoy your life. And if you really enjoy having some bread and butter before your dinner at restaurants, that's fine. But if you have severe digestion issues, gluten is something that needs to be cut off completely until you get to the stage where you can enjoy foods more freely.
Do you feel it's gluten or is it glyphosate? Because I always have this argument, and I say, I understand that many people already are in a state where their gut just is not healthy. And if you add gluten in, yes, that's going to screw with it. But do we not see that glyphosate is also maybe part of this problem?
There is some evidence and some reports that it's glyphosate that is the issue. And I think it could be a combination of both. Right. And if, depending on where you get if you're talking about bread, depending on where you get your bread from, if you go to an organic bakery, you're going to know that it shouldn't be any glyphosate on it. And if you still have digestive issues then, or gluten is problematic, then you can kind of understand. But I think it's one of those things it could be both, and it's probably a combination of both as well. I'm trying to recommend to clients, my friends, family, and myself that try to go as organic as possible, because those pesticides and herbicides will give you problems for your health. It can cause serious issues, even though you can't. A lot of people think that it's not a big issue, but it actually is.
It's a really good point, because I know there's something called the Italian paradox, that people in America or elsewhere that swear off gluten, feel fine, can't eat any pasta here, can't eat any breads, travel to Italy, have the pasta there and feel fine, right? And suddenly is it the gluten, or is it the quality of what you're eating and what it's sprayed with and what else is there? So you have to make that determination, understand. Some people, yes, they go to Italy and they still can't eat it and still are disrupted, but there is a large population that if you just focused on quality rather than what it is, but the quality of the bread, the quality of the pasta, that will improve. And then, of course, don't overeat, have smaller quality.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the pasta portions outside of Italy is too big for most people.
Well, you come from Norway, actually. Originally, you're from Norway. Yes. A beautiful Scandinavian country with a very different, I would say, diet and lifestyle than an American standardized diet and lifestyle. Do you attribute most of European, I would say in general, lifestyle and diet to somewhat improved health? Meaning I don't feel there's as much obesity in Norway. I don't feel there's as much diabetes and all these kind of westernized diseases. Sure, they are there. But do you attribute, when you grew up, were you eating healthy?
To some extent, yeah. I would say I had a healthy diet growing up. Could probably be better, but it was, compared to the UK, for instance, what I see kids eat here, it was very much healthier. But we'll have mackerel for breakfast or lunch on a piece of bread. There will always be some kind of greens. We're also very, we get educated with nutrition and health in schools as well. The basics, but I don't think that's happening in many countries. So that's also very beneficial. And like I remember from a young age that I was always focused on like eating healthy or have, nutritious food in my diet.
Yeah. I always said, the biggest part of probably why I got into what I do and saw things a little bit differently is my parents immigrated from Poland and we ate differently. We ate on a European kind of style where it was more fish and fresh cooked quality, smaller meals, things like that. Didn't have much junk food. And I always said, all the kids hated my house when they came over. My friends came over because they had nothing to eat. They'd be like, we're not eating this mackerel or no. Like, where are the M&Ms? Where are the cheese puffs and everything? I was like, you're not going to find that here. But it is such a big part of how then you grow up and what your state of health is. So what are some of the best tips that you have for people that are struggling or looking to improve gut health in general?
First of all, is to cut out any triggers. You don't want any symptoms, and that's through diet. I feel like there's so many people who will kind of force themselves to eat, well, not force, they will happily eat something that will cause issues after they had the meal just because it tastes nice or they enjoyed it or whatever. And I think that mentality you have to step away from because you're not doing yourself any good. And you're just causing more damage. So that's the first thing. You have to make some sacrifices. You can't expect to heal in the same environment you got sick in. So, which is a classic saying, and it's true. So that will be the first thing. Adding more protein to your diet, quality protein, such as animal meat, fish, animal fats, because protein is the building blocks of our cells, and it will help to strengthen the gut lining, as well as fats will help to help the gut and for your hormones to work efficiently, and etc. And also cut down on the alcohol is really bad. Like a glass of wine here and there, but sadly, if you're really serious about healing your gut, alcohol should be put away for a little bit at least. And also, one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that you have to, if you have negative emotions or are going through trauma or have unresolved trauma, it's very important to work through that because you have no idea that how much it can impact your health. I've had clients who had unresolved trauma, and we could do anything with diet, nothing really worked, but as soon as they resolve the trauma, it just become a new person. So that's also a really important thing because it is a stressor. You have to limit any stressor in your life. So that's a big thing as well that people don't realize.
Yeah, I could second that because so many people do have that constant stress. So they're in a sympathetic state. When you're in a sympathetic state and you eat, you don't digest as well. You don't have peristalsis, you have poor digestion, and everything starts to go down. Then you have symptoms, bloating, everything else. You're wondering, is it what I'm eating? And sometimes it's not. You may be eating incredibly healthy and still have that because you're eating in a stressed state and you don't even pick up on it. And if you just got yourself, dealt with the trauma, with the emotions that are always on and triggering you constantly, then you'd see that improvement. So I always say it's not so much what you eat. Of course, that's important, but it's how and why you eat it too. So eating it in a peaceful state, slowly, with enjoyment, in a parasympathetic state, you're going to have much better digestion.
100%.
What do you feel about things like probiotics, fermented foods for gut health?
Again, depending on the person. So there's evidence showing that eating probiotic foods, such as fermented foods, will benefit your gut flora, your microbiome better than prebiotic foods. So you will get more diverse flora. But if you have SIBO, for instance, dysbiosis, that can cause gut issues such as bloating, cramping, etc. So for those people, it's not that good. But then again, you can use probiotics, but it's knowing what kind of probiotics to take. It could be a spore probiotic, which is really good, or even a Saccharomyces boulardii to help to get rid of any of the unwanted bacteria. But it really depends on the person. And I think there's so many people now who just run and buy probiotics and just take it for no reason. And it's you have to figure out why you're taking it and, what kind of strains there are. Is there enough strains? and also how to take it, when to take it. So there's a lot of things that can be quite complicated. But yeah, I think I'm a fan of both, but again, depending on the person.
Yeah, it's always dependent on the person. And it's interesting how you speak to so many and you do get that, oh, I'm on probiotics, and they don't even recognize that they're actually living organisms. And if you don't change your diet, they're just going to die anyway, because you're not feeding them. You're basically starving them and feeding the bad, bacteria and microbiome that love the sugary stuff, the candida, all of that. So you do have to see it as every time you pop a probiotic pill, you're ingesting living things that then you need to actually feed and take care of. So it's not like you just put them in there and it's all better, and keep eating crappy and doing bad things and creating an environment where they can't even live. It's basically a wasted pill then if you don't change some of the actions around ingesting probiotics.
Correct.
So, tell me about what kind of blood tests you're running with your clients to try and figure out what abnormalities may be there and how to help them improve.
Yeah, so I've been working as a nutritionist now for 6 or 7 years, I think. And when I started, it was all through questionnaires and, consultations and trying to figure out and pinpoint what's going on and what they need help with. And it came to a point where I'm like, I just want to stop the guesswork, and I want to really see in black and white what's going on. And I realized the best, easiest way to do this is through a blood test. So I ask my clients now to go and do a blood work, and I can read from the blood test what's going on with their gut. Literally everything that's on the blood, different biomarkers can explain to me if they got gut permeability, if they got nutrient deficiencies, if they have dysbiosis, and I can give them a proper tailored protocol, a supplement and nutrition protocol to help to deal with whatever is going on inside. So it's a standard blood test, really, with the full blood count, lipids, total proteins, albumin, globulin, etc. So it's very interesting. So I do like a blood analysis through that, and I can see what's going on.
Are you looking at toxicity in that analysis as well?
Well, you can see oxidative stress. You can see heavy metal poisoning. There's a few other things you can see as well. There's not that easy to read, but you can pick up on it, and you kind of confirm that through a questionnaire as well with symptoms.
And if you're picking up on those things, like you're seeing toxicity, how are you adjusting the diet around people that are more toxic?
Well, you have to promote detoxification pathways and give the body the right nutrients so the pathways will function properly, because there's 3 different pathways in detoxification, or biotransformations as also called. And each pathway needs different nutrients, and each pathway can also be blocked by, for instance, green tea. Green tea is super healthy for other things, but it blocks pathways 0 and 3 in the detoxification pathway. So it's like figuring out or giving the person the right diet. Say you need to eat more of this and not so much of this, drink this or take this supplement. And then it's also figuring out, like, does their liver function properly? Because that's a major detoxification organ. And if they have liver dysfunction, we have to kind of change it completely and, first kind of heal the liver and then go there. So it really depends on how toxic the person is. Like an overweight person is going to have more stored toxins than a lean person. An older person is also going to have more stored toxins than a younger person. And a person who has yo-yo diet for their whole life, they're going to have a lot of toxins stored. So it's, again, individual, and I kind of like read that from blood analysis and as well a symptoms questionnaire.
Yeah, it's an art and science, isn't it? Really, when you deal with each person, I always say this. When you're looking at medicine, and of course you understand this, everyone's a blank canvas. You don't go in and start saying on a blank canvas, this is your protocol, this is yours. You got to start to figure it out, start to paint it out, see what it actually looks like, and then adjust based off of that. So that's why I really am not a fan of this one size fits all that you see out there, where you have people saying you got to be vegan. No, you got to be carnivore. No, you got to do keto. It's like, I don't want to say you're all wrong because you're somewhat right. People will get better some, but a vast majority won't because they aren't personalizing at all. And that may actually harm them. So this idea that you could just say Mediterranean diet and just everyone should be on it, it's just a fallacy. Like, how do you feel about all these people just pushing, their way is the right way is when it comes to diet?
Yeah, no, I think people who, has like the best diet or, this is the diet that's best for everyone. I feel like it's more like a sales pitch than anything. Like the people who really cares about people's health or health coach, nutritionist, dietitians, they will research and read and change their opinion related to this research. And they will work on a personal individual basis. Like I said, there's no way I could give out one diet that works for everyone. And even like in my juice fast, you can individualize it. It's not like this is how you should do it, follow it to the T. It's kind of like, if you have this issue, maybe go like this way or take this supplement or eat this. Because it has to be individualized. We're all different. We all have different lifestyles. We all have different health issues. We all live in different areas. And there's so many factors that contribute to one's health. Yeah.
So well said. Now, knowing that we're all individualized and make mistakes individually, what are the patterns you see as far as diet of what people are commonly doing wrong?
I think with weight loss is that people just think they need to be in a calorie deficit and they don't think about being in a nutrient-dense calorie deficit, and they just go on and eat what's lowest in calories. And I think, I think a lot of people has contributed to this problem, because if you go in a calorie deficit, yes, you will lose weight, but if you don't eat the right foods, your detoxification pathway is not going to work correctly. You're not going to feel good. You're going to set you up for disease risk in the future. So I think a lot of people associate low calorie with what is good for me, which is not the case at all.
No, it's very true. And I don't like those people that just say count calories and that's it. If the outcome is truly to just lose as much weight as possible and not care about your health, just do hard drugs, do crystal meth, right? Like honestly, let's be like, that would be the best way to you'll lose all your teeth, you'll look like crap, but you'll be super skinny.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like you have to incorporate, well, is it healthy? Guzzling Diet Cokes and, all this fat-free crap is not healthy. You may in the short term lose some weight because of it. I will contend that in the long term, you'll probably be heavier, overweight, and very sick because of it. But that's where people get it wrong. And it is the instant gratification of sort of, well, yeah, if you're only eating, 500 calories, even if it's McDonald's, you'll probably lose weight. But will you actually be healthy? And is that sustainable? You'd probably say no.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like you're setting you up for failure in the future, literally. And it's not only like people, it's like the food companies as well. It's like, low in fat, low in calories. And it's just sad, to be fair. And like, it's not the people's fault because they're not educated on this and they just listen to what's been told or been shouted at them, and they're coming from every angle. So it's pretty sad, to be fair. But that's like one of the things I want to like try to kind of change with in the world or with the people who are following me. Is like, don't focus on the calories, focus on the quality of the food. Like you need to eat nutrient-dense food, because then you'll be healthy and you'll be happy and you will lose weight in the process as well.
Yeah, there's so much of that marketing push going on, and people are confused nowadays, I think, of what is healthy. Because if you watch TV, let's say, then you're going to think things are healthy that obviously are not. But if they listen to someone like you, they'll get better information as to what is actually healthy. So unfortunately, a lot of people watch a lot of TV these days too. But tell us more about your services. You have educational, of course. You got a lot of offerings here to help people, because they can understand now after listening to this, there is a lot of personalization. There is a lot of information that you need to take in yourself and make, the best diet and the best actions for their health.
Yeah, so I offer 12-week programs, optimal health programs. I do them in a self-directed way or a one-to-one bespoke plans. They include blood analysis, but one of them also doesn't include it if someone doesn't want to go that road. I also have a few online plans. I have my Juice Fast program that I've developed and have had great success with, and it's something I do twice a year myself. And I also have a few other online plans with gut health and with optimal health to kind of, teach people about nutrition and health and kind of like really educate people on nutrition, because I think that's one thing that's lacking mostly when it comes to the area of health.
Yeah. And where can they go and learn more about this, sign up for the courses?
You can find me on dinacelina.com is my website, and my Instagram is Dina Celina D.
Awesome. Now, I also know, I'm not going to let you go without talking about this. You're a DJ. I was hoping to see you in Scotland when I was there, but we didn't plan that out time-wise. But how do you DJ? Listen, I love the like DJing club scene, like when I was younger. How do you do it and still like maintain your circadian rhythms? Because you're probably DJing late into the night sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's funny you said, like, I've been DJing for 6 years now, I think. And I started a few years after I went and got into nutrition. But for many years, I kind of like balanced it really well. But I think the last few years, I've been like more focused on feeling the best I ever can feel. And the late nights is a problem. So I stopped doing like 3 a.m.s. I wouldn't do them anymore. I'm just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not having fun. I don't want to wake up feeling groggy. And then I was doing to like 1 a.m.s. And I kind of stopped doing them as well. So now I'm DJing in the daytime, which is perfect.
Nice.
So I kind of like managed to work around with it. Like I would probably still do a gig here and there, a late one, but wouldn't be every week because I just don't rate it anymore. I'd rather be early in bed and wake up early and feel fresh.
Understandable. And listen, music is a wonderful thing. I'm sure you get joy out of it when you DJ, when you play, like, and everything. I always said if I didn't do what I did now, I'd either be a DJ or just a music producer because I love music so much. But yes, I was thinking about that. Like, I don't know, like I love the music, but can I be up till 3 a.m. and still wake up at 6 a.m. and keep that routine? It's tough. So I'm glad that you're changing it around a little bit. Dina, thank you so much for all this. Looking forward to keeping in touch with you, seeing what else is out there. And for everyone listening, please do take advantage of these courses and her education. Anything you want to leave the audience with as we close out?
Probably say that don't get overwhelmed, because I feel like that's the thing that people get really overwhelmed. Take a step back, breathe, think, do what's right for you. There's a lot of things that could be said about health that's good for you, but it might not be the right thing for you. So it's all about experimenting and trying out new things and kind of like find what sticks, but obviously stick to the fundamentals, what is important with a nutrient-dense diet. But not everyone has to meditate if they don't like to meditate, or not everyone has to get up early in the morning and go to bed early. So it's one of those things, like don't overwhelm yourself. Do what's right for you.
Very well said. It is about simplification. I think people make their lives harder than it needs to be. And they think of health as this really complex thing, when in reality, it's the simple things. Just get outside, eat some good food, do it with love and gratitude. That's really it. Mm-hmm. Dina, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Casper.
So as we said, as we heard here, while there's no such thing as one size fits all, there are some basic steps we could all take to improve our nutrition, improve our gut health. Until next time, continue writing your own healing story.